Hey there. Today I want to talk to you about 7 marketing strategies, things that no one is really discussing, not even me very often. These are a bit more complicated and nuanced compared to the quick tips we usually hear on social media, like post at this time, adjust your content for this algorithm, or use this color or font. What I'd rather focus on is getting to the root cause of why your marketing might not be delivering the results you expect. Even if your marketing is working decently, understanding these 7 strategies will help you immediately improve your efforts, resulting in more clicks, more traffic, and more sales from everything you do. But most importantly, I want to show you how to think about your marketing, how to process different strategies and tactics. I'll share how I evaluate various marketing methods, tools, and resources, and what goes on in my mind when I'm reviewing different options. The goal today is pretty ambitious. I want to deliver these 7 insights quickly and concisely so that you can immediately apply them to your business or your clients' businesses. Let's get started. First, let's address the common issue people face when they say, "My marketing isn't working." I see this all the time in comments. People say, "No one's clicking, no one's engaging with my content, and the algorithm is not promoting my posts." Most of the time, the problem isn't that their marketing strategy is flawed. It's that they're simply not doing enough marketing. It's a question of quantity over quality. Let me explain. I'm not sure where the blame lies, but maybe it's because of the get-rich-quick mentality, or maybe it's the countless programs and courses that promise you'll make millions in 30 days with little to no effort. But the reality is, many people believe that if they just run a Facebook or Instagram ad or post a single video on YouTube, they'll go viral and everything will work out effortlessly. I wish that were the case, but it's not. Marketing is just like any other business function, whether it's accounting, HR, or sales. It takes time, effort, and money to make it work. The issue is that many people post once or twice on social media, see no immediate results, and then give up. They hop to another platform, try a couple of tweets on Twitter, get no engagement, and then swear off Twitter too. They make a YouTube video, and when that doesn't take off, they get frustrated and think it's just not working. The reality is that they probably just haven't done enough. This brings us to the first major concept I want to discuss, the marketing sweet spot. Imagine a bell curve with 3 different sections. The left section represents the minimum effective dose, MAD. If you haven't reached this threshold, nothing you do will make a meaningful impact. It's like posting once on social media, getting little to no engagement, and wondering why it isn't working. It's also like spending $5 on an Instagram ad and expecting immediate sales, then giving up on online advertising altogether. The truth is, they haven't hit the med. There's not enough momentum or engagement. This is where 90% of businesses fall, half-heartedly trying marketing strategies and wondering why they don't work. The key here is to push through this phase. Once you get past the medi, you hit the sweet spot. This is where your marketing efforts are reaching the necessary touch points and your content is being seen by the right audience. It's a place where your marketing strategy has gained enough traction and you're getting close to market saturation. The sweet spot is vast. Most businesses haven't even scratched the surface of what's possible. If you think you're doing enough by posting once a day or uploading 1 YouTube video a week, you're probably not even close to what you're capable of achieving. Eventually, you will reach the 3rd phase, diminishing returns, where additional effort doesn't yield as much improvement. But this is rare. In my experience, only a tiny fraction of businesses ever reach this stage. It tends to happen when companies are spending millions on ads and can't reach more people. Most businesses, however, haven't reached this point because they haven't fully committed or maximized their marketing efforts. The takeaway here is clear. Most businesses are still stuck in the may-deed phase, not even close to the sweet spot. If you're wondering why your marketing isn't working, it's probably because you need to put in more effort. Of course, you need to be strategic, and that's what the rest of this discussion will cover, but more is definitely the answer. This leads us to the marketing rule of 7. Depending on your industry, whether you're selling something expensive or cheap, it's generally agreed that for someone to make a purchase, they need around 7 touch points or interactions with your brand. You can't expect someone to make a purchase after just 1 interaction. It takes multiple engagements, around 7, before someone feels comfortable making a buying decision. For high-priced items, it might take 7 to 14 touch points, but the principle remains the same. This rule is critical because it helps prevent you from giving up too soon. You can think of marketing as selling to many people at once, unlike sales, which is typically one-on-one. Marketing involves reaching a broader audience and influencing them without immediate feedback, which makes it even more challenging. So how do you reach those 7 touch points? You need to show up in front of your target audience where they are most active and engaged online. This means being selective about which social media platforms you're using, what type of content you create, and where you distribute it. The most important factor here is making sure your content aligns with where your audience is. There's no point in investing time and resources in Twitter, TikTok, or YouTube if your ideal audience isn't there. Your mission should be to stay visible, offering valuable content and offers consistently. Lastly, I want to introduce a psychological concept called the mere exposure effect. This is the idea that people tend to trust what they see frequently. The more often someone encounters your brand, the more familiar they become with it, and the more likely they are to trust you. Repeated exposure builds trust, and ultimately, that trust leads to conversions. This kind of stems back to caveman days, where if we saw something enough times and it didn't try to kill us or eat us, we assumed it was safe. Well, all of that programming, all of that evolution is carried forward to today. So now, when we see things again and again, we naturally start to like them more because we're familiar with them. They're less scary, and therefore, we're more likely to trust them. This is why that marketing rule of 7 is so important. This is why following up is crucial. It's why making sure that you have a solid email marketing strategy is paramount. It's one of the most important things I can offer here. If the first piece of advice is to make sure you're doing more than the minimum effective dose and into the sweet spot, the second most valuable piece of advice I can give you is to do more email marketing than you think. There's this weird rule in marketing that says you should send 1 marketing email a week at most, or maybe 1 a month, because you don't want to bother people. Garbage. It's absolute garbage. There are businesses and industries where you could send 1 email every 3 days or even 1 a day. There are companies that I've consulted for and that I own and have stakes in who send 2 emails a day, and it works. People don't get angry, they don't unsubscribe. You just have to know who your market is. At the very least, I would say you should be aiming for 3 emails a week as a minimum. Otherwise, you won't have the chance to establish yourself and take advantage of all of those touch points, the marketing rule of 7, and the mere exposure effect. This leads me perfectly to the next secret. You want to go deep rather than broad. Let me tell you what's probably my biggest pet peeve when it comes to marketing. Whenever I ask someone, who's your target market, and they respond with everyone or people with money, I cringe. It would be great if that were the case, but there are 8 billion people on the planet, and I promise you, don't want all of them. Even if they all wanted to do business with you, some of them would be terrible fits for your business. Let's rein that in. Even if we separate men and women, we're down to about 4 billion people. Then if we separate by country, we might have 100 million and then maybe 30 million in one specific area. Still, we want to carve that down to a much smaller group. The goal is to connect with people on a deeper level. And the best way to do this is by taking a look at yourself and your business. Now, I know you're not your customer. You know things that they don't, and you have experiences they haven't had. But most businesses solve a problem they once faced. You probably understand your customer situation and what they're going through, which means you're likely to attract people who are similar to you. That's why if you're a personal brand, coach, or consultant, you tend to attract people about 10 years older or younger than you. For example, if you're 30, your target audience will likely be people between 20 and 40, and if you're 40, your audience will typically be people between 30 and 50. The point is, you want to go deep. You want to make better connections with fewer people rather than having superficial connections with a large crowd. The reason for this is simple. When you go broad, your message becomes diluted. It's more generic, and it appeals to everyone, which makes it boring. When your message is generic, it's ignored because you sound just like every other business out there offering the same vague promises like, we offer better quality and better service. To solve this, you need to create an ICA, Ideal Customer Avatar. This is a marketing term for a fictional representation of your ideal customer. It's not about giving them a name, hair color, or favorite music. What's important is understanding the common characteristics of your best customers. We typically categorize these into three areas: demographic, age, gender, income, occupation; geographic, location; and psychographic details, values, attitudes, interests, beliefs, lifestyles. You might have multiple ICAs, and that's fine. You may serve women aged 20 to 25 and men aged 40 to 45, but they'll each have different pains, problems, and desires. You'll need to craft separate messages for each. The key is to understand your target audience's miracles and miseries. The miracles represent their desires, needs, and dreams, the end states they want to achieve. The miseries are the problems, frustrations, and pains they want to avoid. Your business's job is to move them from their current state of misery to the desired state of miracles. The better you communicate this transformation, the more likely they are to take action. That brings us to another classic marketing tip. Sell the benefits, not the features. The idea is that the features of your product or service are important, but people don't buy the features. They buy the benefits that come with those features. For example, a pen might have a cap, but the benefit of the cap is that it prevents ink from spilling everywhere. Benefits are emotionally driven, and emotion is a far more powerful driver than logic. People make decisions based on emotions. They buy because they feel the product or service will make their life better. That's why when you market, you want to lead with benefits. If people don't convert, flip it and lead with the features, but always back up the features with benefits. This strategy ensures you address both emotional and logical sides of the decision-making process. Remember, marketing isn't about doing the bare minimum. To see results, you need to be more consistent and strategic. You need to work deeper with fewer, well-targeted individuals and clearly communicate the miracles and miseries that your product solves.